Good evening. I am Dr. Jeffrey Sterling, Surgeon General for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And on behalf of General President, Brother Dr. Willis Lanza III, I welcome you to this evening's Surgeon General Initiative webinar. Cholesterol is one of those things that everyone seems to have heard of, but far too many actually know very little about. This waxy substance is found in your blood. Now, your body actually needs cholesterol to build healthy cells, but high levels of cholesterol can increase your risk of heart disease. With high cholesterol, you can actually develop fatty deposits in your blood vessels. Eventually, these deposits will grow and make it difficult for enough blood to flow through to your arteries. These deposits sometimes can break suddenly and form a clot that causes a heart attack or a stroke. Now, high cholesterol can be inherited, but is often the result of unhealthy lifestyle choices, which make it preventable and treatable. As you will learn this evening, a healthy diet, regular exercise, and sometimes medication can help reduce this condition. It's again my pleasure to introduce this evening's moderator, Deputy Surgeon General for Family Health, Victor Narcisse. Brother Dr. Narcisse is a spring 1990 initiate of the Rho Iota chapter and a life member, currently active with Alpha Eta Lambda chapter. He is a graduate of the Baylor College of Medicine. He's board certified in internal medicine and geriatric medicine. Dr. Narcisse practices at the Houston Methodist Hospital in Houston, Texas, as the Associate Division Head of Hospital Medicine, Houston Methodist Physician Organization Group, as well as being the Director of Clinical Research in the Division of Hospital Medicine. Of course, he serves as the Deputy Surgeon General of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, and I welcome you, Brother Dr. Narcisse. Have a great show.
Good evening. It's with great pleasure that I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce or reintroduce to many of you two individuals that are dynamic and I think have a unique story to tell when it comes to cholesterol and health. The first is our immediate past General President, Mark S. Tillman, 34th General President of Alpha Phi Alpha. Under his leadership, Alpha Phi Alpha became the founding donor of the Smithsonian National African American Museum, History and Culture in Washington, D.C., raised millions of dollars in contributions for the March of Dimes, and received a $1 million grant for the support of mentoring of young men. Professionally, Brother Tillman has over 30 years of information technology experience and currently serves as a senior IT project manager in the Michigan Medicine in Ann Arbor. Brother Tillman has been an ongoing supporter of mentoring, and he's actually here because he's one of my mentors, and as you'll come to hear. He's a 3-time mentor with the Big Brothers Big Sisters and is a recipient of the organization's Community Impact Award. He's from my hometown of New Orleans, grew up with my line brother, August Martin, and is a graduate of Dillard University right down the street from my elementary school with a degree in computer science. He's married to his wife of 25 years, Valicia, and currently serves as Volunteer Leadership Council, the March of Dimes, and a board member of the Boy Scouts in the Great Lakes Field Service Council. But he's my mentor because since we've been in a new focus around our exercise, I joined the Alpha Phi Alpha cycling group on Facebook, and he's an avid poster there, and he's one of the people who continues to encourage me to get beyond myself and to do more. Similarly, I'd like to introduce Brother Jonathan Ctrell. Brother Ctrell is a dynamic and vibrant personality who motivates and inspires audience with his engaging and candid talks, delivers messages that empower audiences with personal and professional greatness. He's a passionate speaker for increasing self-awareness, physical fitness, and a healthy lifestyle, all the things that I need. Brother Ctrell has competed in over 20 triathlons. I just have 20 more to catch up, 5 half marathons, and 35 Ks. His favorite Bible verse is, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." I'd like to thank both of them for participating this evening. Today, we'll talk a little bit more about cholesterol, and I think you've heard a little bit about it already. It's a substance that's found in our blood, and it's a thing that's actually necessary. It's used for cell membranes. It's used to make hormones and vitamins. It's important for good health. The problem is when you grow up in New Orleans and you eat the kind of food that I was taught to eat, you end up with too much. That puts you at higher risk for heart attacks, strokes, peripheral vascular disease, diseases in the arteries and the veins, of the big arteries, the aorta, the smaller ones like the renal arteries. And the higher cholesterol, the higher your risk of these problems. The cholesterol forms with other substances to form hard deposits. We'll show a picture of atherosclerosis. This is what the blood vessels normally look like. Thin walls, a couple different layers, and the blood vessels obviously are the super highways to get blood and nutrients all throughout your body, leaving the heart and moving onward. But as we go to the next slide, we'll see that what can happen with too much cholesterol is instead of those walls being very, very thin, deposits will form in the lining of the walls, and those deposits will get bigger and bigger. A plaque will form, and again, choke off the blood supply, or potentially suddenly a plaque will rupture and travel and cause a sudden loss of blood supply, which will lead to a stroke or a heart attack. Thanks so much, brother. There are a couple of different kinds of cholesterol. If you get your blood checked, and you should get your blood checked if you're over the age of 20, even a lower age if you have certain family risks, you'll see on your report things like total cholesterol, LDL, bad cholesterol, HDL, good cholesterol, non-HDL cholesterol, triglycerides. All these components are important. They're all different. And what we'll talk a little bit about over the course of the evening is how we can adjust one as compared to another, and how we can make fine-tuned choices. The total cholesterol is the amount that we have of all of this. But the thing that we talk the most about is the bad cholesterol, the LDL. And when I went to go see my doctor most recently, a doctor that I actually hired for her first job, she gave me the bad news. Brother Narcisse, your bad cholesterol is horrible. Not just bad, it's horrible. And because of that, I was at higher risk for having all these problems. You're going to need to do something. Your good cholesterol, your HDL, which is affected by exercise, is too low. You're going to need to do something. The triglycerides is another type of fat that we often will talk about with folks who have diabetes, and it's directly tied to our diet. So there are different ways of adjusting each one of these. So when do you get checked? Over the age of 20, everybody, particularly if you have a high lifetime risk of events. If you've had a first degree relative, or your father, your mother, your siblings have had a stroke or heart attack, really important. Especially if the family history of those events happened with folks who are younger than 45. If you get checked and your bad cholesterol is over 160, then you need to get checked more regularly. And obviously, you might need cholesterol lowering medicine. If you're over 40, but not yet 75, there's sort of a risk assessment or calculation that a doctor will do to try to understand what is your risk of strokes, what's your risk of heart attacks, and then try to come up with a calculation. I'd like to show you some of the goals that I like to talk to people about. Total cholesterol, the number should be below 200. That's really for everybody. If you've had events or you're higher risk, we might actually need a lower goal. Similarly, with the bad cholesterol, the LDL, below 130. If you've had strokes, heart attacks, that number is going to go all the way down to 70. Your good cholesterol, we want it over 60. Your non-HDL cholesterol below 160. Again, lower targets if you've had events. Triglycerides less than 150. So, if your cholesterols aren't really at the place where they should be, are there things that you can do? Well, yes, you can lower your cholesterol without medicines. This is an important piece. We'll be talking more about that over the course of the evening. Avoiding red meats, butter, fried foods, everything I like to eat growing up in New Orleans. So there are things to do. But I'd like to really bring in our experts here and talk a little bit about exercise. I mentioned to you some of the goals that I'm trying to have. And Brother Tillman, I'd love to hear a little bit about your exercise journey.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Brother Narcisse. And I just want to mention, as you were talking about, cholesterol levels, for most all my life, my cholesterol level has been fairly decent, under 200. Thankfully, I've never been on meds for cholesterol. I managed to get exercise, but when you talked about I always get confused between my HDL and LDL, which one is supposed to be good, or LDL, which one is supposed to be good. And I just did a quick check, and I'm pretty much right near the optimal level. So thanks for that range conversation, because I wanted to make sure that I was good. But my exercise journey, has been a long one. I know some folks tend to join the gym at the beginning of the year, or some significant event, or maybe a significant health event. And mine occurred back in my early 20s, where I just simply, I was always a big kid, all my life from New Orleans. Anyone from New Orleans or anyone that's been to New Orleans know that we eat, and we eat well. And so when I got into college and after college and moved up to Michigan, I started, really focusing on my health at an early age. So for years, I was getting up at about 5 a.m. To be at the gym by 6 a.m. and then go to work. And I've also worked worked out in the evenings. I've actually picked up racquetball. I was playing volleyball. So I was a pretty active kid to try to keep my body moving. Eventually, I picked up racquetball and was playing that for a lot of years until an injury that I sustained pretty much slowed me down, and then I ultimately had to give that up. And then because I now know, at that time, I knew what an athlete, a very high performing athlete goes through when they can no longer play football or can no longer play basketball. That's how I felt playing racquetball. I needed something to keep my juices flowing, if you will. And so I got into cycling, and I started out mountain biking. So I was actually taking my bike off road, going up and down hills, off road trails at parks. And then I got into road cycling, where I started building myself from, some people would say, wow, I can't bike 10 miles. Well, I started with 10 miles, 10 miles became 20, 20 became 60, and then 60 became 100. And I've been cycling for the last 20 years or so, and only slowed down when I was the general president, because most of the time I was cycling on weekends. And where was I? I was in some city on weekends. But my exercise journey, and I try to take it with me when I was general president, worked out. You get almost like a sweet spot of days at a general convention or any convention where you can probably work out, and then the rest of the time you're really busy. So I tried to do that because, there are a lot of chicken dinners during, conventions and dinners and things like that. So I've always kept myself moving. I keep myself moving. It's very important. And it's just something that is a part of me. So I didn't start and stop because, I hit a goal. I just kept doing it because I enjoy it, for one, but also I want to be around for a long time.
Outstanding. Brother Ctrell, as an athlete, can you tell us a little bit about your journey through exercise?
Yeah, so thank you again, and so happy to be here with you, brothers. Yeah, the journey is one thing that I've learned is just being an athlete. Um, I call myself a guy that just is, I'm constantly just trying to do it. A lot of my friends say, "You're not an athlete anymore. You're too old." uh, but I think that it's really about understanding your why, right? So in everything that you have to do, you have to be a visionary. Um, as we get older, as we age, our bodies don't recover the same. Um, Injuries are a little bit longer. Brother Tillman and you guys are cyclists as well. I'll tell you a quick story. I was on the bike, and I broke a chain. I broke my chain for the first time, going up a hill, put down too many watts, and my knee went out to the right, and my body went forward, and I was clipped in, but I didn't fall. I almost tore my ACL, and that was several months ago, and I still feel every bit of that. And I've done, everything from recovery system on the legs to resting it, and it just, part of getting older, you just don't recover as fast. LeBron James spent $250,000 on his body a year just to play basketball. And so it's always an ongoing process. It's always ongoing work. But I think what helps is just understanding your why, right? When it comes to exercise, when it comes to health, when it comes to what you're putting in your body, why are you doing it? What are some of those things that keep you going? For me, mine is my family, my children, my wife, right? And understanding that you can have bad health at any age, and things can happen, right? So we know there's things that are hereditary. We know there are things that are just gonna kind of happen, but we can be proactive. And when you think about cycling, that's just being proactive. We're just trying to own our health. We're just trying to take care of ourselves. We got to be up again to understand why are we trying to do these things. When you talk about the cholesterol, I think that's also a really good thing. That is exactly kind of how I measure what's going on internally, because you can see the outside, but a lot of times you can't see what's going on the inside. And so when you think about, your blood work, what is LDL, what is good cholesterol, what is bad cholesterol, and then what are the numbers? You talked about it being under 130, right? So if it's over 130, what does that mean? And then does it contribute to what I'm eating? So if I'm eating a lot of burgers and my bad cholesterol is getting higher and higher, then that kind of gives me a signal like, okay, something's going on with my arteries. That's one way I can determine what my arteries are doing. And we know that when you have clogged arteries, as we started this conversation, then that leads to different things, right? So again, taking ownership, taking charge, if you will, of your health, knowing your numbers, not just going to the doctor and just kind of, just kind of going by what they say. And a lot of times for me, they'll look at me when I go get a physical. They'll look at me and say, "Oh, you're good." I actually walk into the doctor's office with my water, gallon of water. Wherever I go, I have a challenge that's going on right now to drink a gallon of water every day. And so when they see that, they just say, "Hey, you're good." But I have to also be able to tell them that my pulse is like, resting rate is like 50. So it's really low. So I have to let them know I'm a triathlete. Otherwise, it looks like I may be going into some cardiac arrest or have some type of issues with that because my blood pressure is so low. So, again, going back to your question, it's I think I would say that would be the biggest thing. Being able to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then honing in on that and working hard at it to continue to go and continue to push forward with it, because we only have one body and it's our job to take care of our temple. So we have to do whatever we can to maximize that opportunity and continue to be great, because our bodies will last and they will give us what we need. And age is nothing but a number, but we have to take ownership of it, and we have to make it a priority. We have to make our health a priority. People say I get really busy. Well, getting really busy at work and doing different things causes stress, causes you not to exercise, which can lead to more issues. If we're not feeling good, if we're not feeling well, then we can't be productive at home, and we can't be as efficient on our jobs and the other things that we need to do because we don't feel great. And so your health, your lifestyle, making it a priority is mandatory. It has to be your religion. It has to be something that we're doing every single day so we can be the best versions of ourselves.
So Brother Ctrell, if I decide tonight that today's the day, tomorrow I'm going to get started, what would you advise me to do first?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say start small. Most of the time, people say, "Oh no, I'm not going to work out with Jonathan Ctrell. He's going to run today. He's going to make me run 5 miles, and I'm not ready for it." Right? Here's the deal: we want exercise and our eating to be enjoyable. It's a lifestyle, guys. It is a marathon. It is for the rest of our lives. So how do we come up with a game plan to where we enjoy it? Because if we enjoy it, we're going to want to continue to do it. So in my mind, I would say start really small. I would ask someone, "Are you doing any type of exercise?" "Well, no, I don't really do anything at all." "Okay, well, here's what I want you to do. Give me Sorry about that, guys. Give me 10 sit-ups tonight, and tomorrow morning, I want you to walk just a half a mile. I don't even want you to run. And so the ideal is to start small, make it enjoyable, because when you start small and make it enjoyable, it helps to build confidence within that person. And so if you put on too much, if you do too much, then that's where we kind of we'll do it for a little while, and then maybe a week or two, we're just like, hey, I'm not exercising anymore. I'm done with this. So start really small and build and work your way to where you need to get. The biggest thing is consistency. You got to do something every day. I believe that consistency builds habit. And once you build a habit, we got a lot of bad habits, but once you build that good habit, it's the same domino effect. It's, I need to get my exercise. I need to drink water. Hey, I don't even want that fried chicken anymore. It just doesn't even taste right. I want to eat a little bit more healthier, right? Start small and build, and as consistency grows, you'll become better, and then it'll just become part of you.
So you said that 5 miles sounded like a lot at the beginning. What were your first goals? What would you say that you wanted to go out to do?
Yeah. Man, and my goals they're always changing. So mine was just really to complete a triathlon. I have played basketball my whole entire life, and I've gotten to a point where my drive for the game is there, but the body doesn't respond the same way. And I get a little bit aggravated. Basketball takes 5 people to win, right? To do it consistently. And people's vision wasn't the same. Guys just didn't want to play. And I didn't understand that. And I got to a point where it began to stress me out a little bit. And so one day my sister was riding a bike. And I said, why do you ride? Grown adults don't ride bikes. Why are you riding a bike? And I didn't know anything about triathlon or any of this stuff. And she said, try the bike out. Next thing you know, I fell in love with the bike and bought my first one from her. It was an old Fuji. And I never looked back. But what I learned when I started triathlons was several things. One, it helped me to be able to use my energy, that positive energy, that passion that I had, where it was on me. I don't have to depend on somebody else to be successful. It's now in my wheelhouse. Like if I'm going to ride, bike, run, or whatever, it's on me. I don't have to depend on someone else. The other piece was determining what my goals were going to be, because they kept kind of changing. And do I want to run really fast? Do I want to think about it? Triathlon is a 3-discipline sport. It's bike, run, and swim. So how do I leverage all 3 and play basketball? Like what do I do with my goals? And so the easiest thing for me to do was when you take running, I knew I would want to do a marathon or an Ironman. So I started with a half-a-mile walk, right? I knew I wanted to eventually run 3 miles. I didn't always run 3 miles. So I started with a half-a-mile walk and consistently did that for a few weeks. And then I would add on. So my goals were starting off with a 5K, and then my goal would change to go into a 6.2 miler, and then a half marathon, and then a full marathon. So again, just kind of going along that route, figuring out what I wanted to focus on, and then setting achievable goals, right? Goals that you can achieve that wouldn't discourage me or make me feel like I couldn't do it, and then kind of building from there. So my goals are, of course, just kind of starting small, whatever that discipline was, and then working my way through from there.
That's just phenomenal. Brother Tillman, you mentioned biking 100 miles. In the biking community, we call that the century. It's the equivalent to the marathon for the runner. What are the fitness goals that you've been most proud of?
Oh man, the fact that I'm still able to do it, in bike, let's take biking for an example. And I wholeheartedly agree with Brother Ctrell. For those who are new or want to get started, start small. And I will add, have a buddy, have somebody that's willing to be there with you. Have a wingman or a wing girl, wing woman, because it's nothing like having somebody with you to make you accountable and sharing those goals. I didn't get to bike 100 miles, by myself, and then cycling, we just keep saying, keep pedaling. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, when I started out, 10 miles seemed daunting, I think. And I don't remember how daunting it was because I've been doing it for so long. But when you keep pedaling, and it doesn't matter how fast you pedal, it's just the fact that you keep pedaling, all of a sudden 10 miles become 20, 20 becomes 30, 30 jumps to 60, which is 62 is the metric century. And then that 60 becomes a century. And I could tell you by mile 80, I'm ready to stop. But I'm always saying that I'm going to get them last 20 miles so I can hit my century. And, my goals were to, I'll just take it back most recently, being general president. I picked up a lot of weight while I was general president. I look back at some pictures, I was like, my goodness, I picked up some weight. And so immediately when I passed the torch to Brother Ward, I got myself rededicated and recommitted to being in the gym, and just getting back into working out. Because I wasn't traveling so much, I wasn't eating out every weekend. And I could tell you, traveling and speaking and visiting folks, everybody wants to take you out. And I have one of those bodies that if it goes in my mouth and I'm not moving this body, it will stay in this body. And again, that's that New Orleans build. And for those who know about the New Orleans build, you know that if you're not moving, you will gain weight real quick. And so, they'll tell you that 80% of maintaining your weight or weight loss is what goes into your mouth. The other 20% is exercise. So I've been focusing on that 80% about what I eat. I reduced greatly, any reliance on fast foods. And if I have to have a fast food, outside of McDonald's, because McDonald's don't even taste right anymore. Burger King doesn't really taste right anymore. I'll go to a Subway, or I'll go to a Potbelly, or maybe even a Qdoba, because at least, not saying that it's the greatest, but it's not another fried hamburger, another French fry, and the like, another shake. At least it's something a little bit more fresher, and that's what I've been doing. And I see some of our folks on the call, like John Gore. We be working out together sometimes at conventions. I see Brother Calvin Wallace online, where he's out there doing a 100-day running streak. And you need that kind of I would say support system, where you got other brothers who are also into weight loss goals, who are also into exercising goals, that keep you going. And those brothers keep me going. So, for me, it's just, again, it's about my health. First and foremost, when I made my commitment to a healthy lifestyle, I made it into my 20s. My gym membership is like paying my car note. It's just something that I pay each and every year without thinking about it, because even if I don't go, I know it's there. So when it's time for me to get back in, I will go in there and work out, because I have a different way of working out being in Michigan. The wintertime, I'm more into the gym. Summertime, I'm more outside. So as it gets colder, I will be inside a little bit more. And I even have a little home gym at my house. So those kinds of goals for me is just really keeping my health, keeping my weight down. I'm not going to be as skinny as probably Brother Ctrell. And if I was, folks will be talking about me. But it's definitely about keeping my health. And that's what my why is, and my goals of around exercise and just eating right.
Brother Tillman, do you think that we are equipping ourselves, our families, with the kinds of knowledge about food? Because when I think about the things that I ate when I was a younger person, and I think about what I've learned since, completely different. In fact, when I was visiting with Brother Tillman about this meeting, one of the things we were trying to figure out is, where in New Orleans were you? And I was thinking, okay, he's such and such relative to the fried chicken place, and these are landmarks. Food places are landmarks in New Orleans, and we eat and we eat and we eat, and we don't quite exercise as much. I've tried to educate myself more and more. The American Heart Association has great cooking tips, but I find it an ongoing challenge to try to eat well. For the two of you, what types of things have worked for you in terms of finding better ways to eat? Brother Ctrell.
So, one thing that I started with was when I started this weight loss journey, I started it 4 years ago. And, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't losing weight. I was still very active in the triathlon and all these sports. I would not lose any weight at all. I get on the bike and do 65 miles, right? I could do that 3 times a week and I wouldn't lose any weight, period. I tried a nutritionist. They said I need to eat a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I found out was something that was very simple. It's called MyFitnessPal. Some of you guys may already know that. Calorie intake coming in and calorie going out. If you are eating more calories than what you're burning, you're not going to lose. If you eat less calories, it's just the reverse of that, then you will lose weight. And so part of that then will have you begin to identify areas in your life and things that you're doing that are causing extra calories. One of my favorite places was Chick-fil-A. Chicken nugget 12-piece combo with about 5 dipping sauces. Y'all know about the different dipping sauces, okay? And then I would get the sweet lemonade, okay? Now, that one meal alone, 1,800 calories. I had no idea. But so, the first piece for me, how I dropped the 40 pounds was being able to identify what I should be eating, what I shouldn't be eating. The second thing that I did was looked at diet based on your blood type. You can research that on Google, okay? There are suggestions. If you just type in what are diets based on blood type, it will suggest foods that you should or should not eat that would go or not go along with your body. I can't say if it's always 100% accurate, but it worked for me. I am an A positive blood type. And so when you research A positive, it says I should be on a more vegetarian, vegetable diet. I should eliminate and cut back on the meats. And that was another thing. I began to feel different when I kind of limited the meats more, right? My digestive system did better. I had a lot of acid reflux. I didn't realize that allowing watermelon for A positive, the acidic foods, didn't have my stomach doing right. I was bloated. I had a lot of different issues. And so as I researched diets based on blood types and use MyFitnessPal to begin to track my calories and to begin to eat a little bit more healthier, then I was able to see the difference. So my suggestion is, and my thought is, when you think about your diet and when you think about how do you kind of transition, I would say start small. For an example, sugar, like juice. Can we find a more creative way to drink more water, right? So maybe those sparkling ice waters that you can get that has a little bit of flavor, right? Maybe you can add some flavors into your water, some flavored drops of lemonade or what have you to give a little bit of take as you begin to transition. You want to watch what ingredients are put into these flavors because some of that stuff isn't good for you, but these are things that you can begin to transition that will help you. Sugar is bad. I mean, you can have a little bit, but it does so many negative things to our body. And so eliminating and cutting down on juice, right? Cutting down on processed foods. Brother Tillman just talked about it, the eating out and not doing that as much and changing it up. But when you begin to eat healthier, then you begin to lose the taste bug for some of that stuff. I remember I would love greasy fried chicken. You could take the chicken out that you didn't have to change the grease. I would do lemon pepper and honey gold mix, fried extra crispy, if y'all know what I'm talking about, with a little bit of ranch. But as I begin to change that, as I begin to invest in the air fryer and go to Publix and get the organic chicken and then take it and put it in my air fryer with my own seasoning and eating it from a more healthier perspective, thinking about the A-type blood that I have, then when I begin to go back to some of those foods, my body was rejecting it. And that's a whole nother conversation. And that's right there. We're talking about good bacteria versus bad bacteria that's in the body, right? That's a whole nother thing. But your taste buds will begin to change as you process food differently, as you eat these things, staying away from greasy foods, staying away from processed foods, staying away from sugars. But again, just like our workout, you start small. We're not asking you to do it all today. If you drink a gallon of juice a day, I didn't say don't drink a gallon of juice, stop it right now. No, but we begin to cut back, right? So can we just do 2 cups a day or just 3 cups? And each week we're going to kind of trim the fat. But while we're still drinking our juice, again, can we find a water alternative to begin to help us transition until we can get to water fully? If it's not a gallon, it took me 2 years to consistently get to drinking a gallon a day. It took 2 years to get to that, right? And so what I'm saying is, but I started small. And so my body doesn't even crave those other drinks because they have too much sugar in them. If I have some water, I'm good to go, right? So again, identifying those things, starting small and beginning to build from there.
Brother Ctrell, are you tracking your exercise, tracking your calorie intake in any particular way?
So here's the deal. For me, at this point, not anymore. Because I have been doing it. Well, let me back up. Exercise, yes. Bike, running, swim, yes. The reason I'm tracking is so that it better fits lifestyle. With 2 younger kids, and sorry I'm this way, I just left my son's soccer game. But I'm grateful for virtual space because I can log in. But from a fitness perspective, absolutely, I have to. Because if on Saturday morning I decide to go ride 50 miles, 60 miles, I know that my children, as soon as I get off that bike, they're not going to be worried that I'm tired. Okay, they're not going to be worried that I was in a zone 3 or zone 4 and I shouldn't have been doing that. Or we had crazy headwind and we're still out here doing 21. The kids are going to be like, Daddy, let's play. So when it comes to my exercise, I need to track. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know how much energy. So I'm at the stage in my life where I'm tracking more so energy, right? I got to
so what are you doing? How are you doing that? How are you tracking that? Do you use an app?
So for me, yeah. I've kind of gotten it in the head because I've done it so long. But to start off, I would use an Excel spreadsheet. I just made my own. There are apps for everything. Okay. So if you want to do an app, you can. But for me, I just kind of had an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm visual. So I would print out schedules. Okay. I would make a simple template Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Mondays at 5 a.m, Monday and Wednesday, I'm swimming. Here's how much I'm going to swim. On Tuesdays, I'm running. Here's how much I'm going to run. On Wednesdays, I'm cycling. And on Saturdays, I'm cycling. And so I would follow that schedule and then adjust as I needed to go forward, right? My nutrition, again, was my Fitness Pal. Because my Fitness Pal is an app that already allows you to track everything. You can just take your phone and scan the foods that you're eating. It's going to tell you what's good, what's bad, how much you're using, how much protein you're getting for the day, etc. So yeah, definitely using things that are user-friendly either on your phone or if you want to just kind of print it out and have it on your wall as a visual, that kind of helps. That will also help you as you go forward.
Brother General President Tillman, what works for you? What do you do for your tracking?
Actually, what Brother Ctrell indicated. Now, I started out tracking. And yeah, it takes some discipline to track everything that goes into your mouth. In fact, I heard the term every licks, bites, and tastes. Anything you licked, anything you bite, anything you taste, you have to track it. And it did help me drop, since I've been out of office, 50 pounds. I've actually lost 50 pounds since I've been out of office. And I've maintained between about a 10-pound loss since between up and down 10 pounds since I've been out of office. And I'm actually trying to get to another 20 pounds to really 25 pounds. I always joke with my brothers. I say, I'm trying to get back to my VP weight as opposed to when I was GP. But yeah, I track, been off of it for a little bit, but I also know that if I don't do it, that's when the weight gains. But when I do it, that's when I lose weight because it's making you accountable for what you are putting in your body. Likewise, like Brother Ctrell said, now we have Chick-fil-A's that are outside the airport here in Detroit. But every time I was going, it was that 12-piece, and it was the Polynesian sauce, Brother Ctrell. Yeah. I only stuck to one sauce. But, you just wouldn't believe. And when you think it's small, they come in small portions, but you'll find out that one little nugget can cause a 2-pound gain on the scale. And so I had to become very disciplined around that. I'm off and on discipline now. I'm only human. I'm like probably most people. I'm a stress eater at times. If I get real busy, sometimes I may not reach for the chopped up bell peppers that I keep during the day, because I have a job that requires me to sit down a lot. It's a white collar job. So by the time that I'm ready to leave, I got to do things that doesn't keep me to eat heavy and sit down all day. I got to eat light and keep moving. When we talk about exercising, again, I'm kind of a seasonal exerciser. I like to be outdoors more during the summertime than I am in the wintertime. But when it becomes the wintertime, I transition to the gym. I actually take my bike and put it on a trainer. And what I do is a stationary bike trainer, and I can connect to an app called Zwift. We have many brothers who cycle who are on that app. And what you do is it's simply a game, if you will, that puts you into a virtual world of cycling. And so while you're pedaling, it's doing all of the magic mathematical calculations to say, unless you have a smart trainer, to say, if you pedal this fast, it's simulating you going up a hill. Or if you pedal this or this slow, it'll simulate you going real fast downhill. And so it really helps keeping me motivated during the wintertime, because anyone that lives in the cold weather climates, it's real easy to do nothing. And it's real easy to reach for the refrigerator and to reach for the pantry. So I have to keep myself moving. So I have that here at home whenever we have one of those 6-7 inches of snow days that we got to deal with. But for me, it's definitely trying to keep accountable to what I do. I can't say I'm always perfect, but I never stray too far from it. But when you track, that is basically your lifeline. It's letting you know, hey, if you continue to eat this way, it will be great, and they tell you 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week is a healthy weight loss. If you're dropping 7 and 10 pounds a week, eventually you're going to plateau. And so I try to stay on that 1 to 2 pounds a week weight loss regimen, weigh myself every week or every now and then just to kind of keep myself balanced. And again, I'm not perfect, but when I do get on it and I stay consistent, I see the results. I see the gain. You kind of almost know without knowing, like Brother Ctrell would say, without knowing what your body is going through. Certain foods, when I'm at home, I try to eat a lot more vegetables. My Sunday night through Thursday night is really the best time that I eat well. When I get to Friday and Saturday, I try to spread out, let's just say my cheat. I don't have a cheat day. I kind of like have a little mini cheat weekend. So I'll kind of slide through the whole weekend between Friday and Saturday, and then get back on board on Monday just to keep myself entertained and not feeling that I'm restricting myself. So it's not a magic formula of being consistent, eating right, and drinking lots of water. And I am not at 2 gallons a day drinking water. And I know Brother Ctrell has got to be going to the bathroom almost every 2 minutes during the day. Every 2 minutes in the bathroom. But I'm trying to get there. And I think what we're both trying to say is that you got to start somewhere, because if you don't start at all, you've already kind of planned where you're going to be. But you start somewhere, and then you just try to stay consistent, and then try to keep it going. And then whatever is going on in your life, you try to blend it in with your life. And that's what I've been doing all of these years.
Well, these are just fabulous recommendations. When you'd come to see me in my office, I would say a lot of the same things, really trying to focus your diet on your nutrition around eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, poultry, fish, nuts, avoiding tropical vegetable oils, avoiding red meat, avoiding processed meats, sodium, sugar. That's everything I like to eat in New Orleans. That's everything I like to eat in New Orleans. So what I've tried to do myself, and I'm at the beginning stages of this, although I've preached it my entire career, it's really encouraging people to read the labels, know your fats, understand that certain fats will raise your bad cholesterol, your LDL. Others don't have such a big an effect. And I encourage people to do as much cooking and food preparation as they can. I think that once you start looking at it, things from the freezer are problems. Things from the pantry are problems. Certainly anything that's fast food is going to be a problem. So cooking from the beginning, I think, is something that we all need to do more of. But what if you actually have a diagnosis of high cholesterol? I mentioned that my primary care physician told me, hey, your numbers just really aren't where you expected them to be. What can you do? Well, there are things to do. And I think about this all the time. There's a young brother in my chapter who had a stroke in his 20s. And I think about him often, and he often gives me encouragement when my days are long. And he's one of those people that is just a shining light. And I want to give him a quick shout out as he continues his road to recovery. But before you have the stroke, before you have the heart attack, you can do things. If you smoke, getting rid of that is an important piece. Trying to control your blood pressure. If you have a family history of high blood pressure or high cholesterol, heart disease, strokes, you can't do anything about your family history, but you can do a lot about what you do in your exercise, what you do to eat. And so I think that these are things that are super important. And as you get older, and we all hope to get older, these are things that we need to pay more and more attention to. And there are a lot of misunderstandings around this point. A lot of people will think that if you're thin, you don't have to worry about your cholesterol. Wrong. If you're a child or you don't have to worry about it. Particularly if you have a family history, it may be a problem even when you're very young. You should wait until some people think that I shouldn't speak out, I shouldn't advocate for myself, I should wait until my doctor says something. That's actually false. And the thing that we see the most of, and I think that many of us wish were true, is I only have to take a pill. I don't need to make any lifestyle changes, and I can make all these problems go away. And I think what you've heard from Brother Ctrell, from Brother Tillman, is that that's not the case. The lifestyle changes actually have to come first, and it's one of the most important things we can do. I would like to show you just very, very briefly a list of some of the types of medicines that we have. If I can get that, Brother Hollis. There are a number of things that we can use, and I wanted to show you this only to say that there are increasingly things to do. If you've been told in the past that there's nothing else to do for your cholesterol, that might have been true then. It may not be true now, and it's likely not true now. The medicines we use most are the statins. Those medicines have been shown to reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. They have good effects on your bad cholesterol, on good effects on your good cholesterol, and there are a number of medicines in that class. So if you don't tolerate one, there may be another one that you can tolerate. But there are a whole host of classes of medicines. When I was in medical school, the number of medicines the number of groups on this list was actually only 2, maybe 3. And now we've added and added and added and added. So now that there are many other things to do. So again, if your cholesterol isn't where you'd like it to be, you need to partner with a health professional. You need to make the lifestyle changes with your diet, with your exercise, your nutrition, and then follow instructions and really find a partner that you can work with over time. I often have people come to me and ask, well, gosh, should we all take medicines? And the answer is probably not. I know that there are some people who are more worried about their health risk and want to take the medicines before things have happened. That's a decision you really need to make with your physicians. But certainly, if you've already had a heart attack or a stroke, if you know you have heart disease or diabetes, if you have peripheral vascular disease where you're not getting enough circulation to your legs and it's painful to walk, or you have aortic disease on imaging, then statins and these other medicines are very, very helpful in lowering your cholesterol. The statins especially are game changers, and unfortunately I don't make any extra money from those pharmaceutical companies, but I think that they really have a program that can be quite helpful. But you're going to need to work with a professional to coordinate around that. And that means finding a healthcare professional that you can partner with. I frequently get questions, and I got 2 of them today. Dr. Narcisse, can you help me find a physician that helps look like me, that has my cultural goals in mind? And there are ways to do that in every community. In your chapter, I bet that there's a physician or a group of physicians that can sort of help you work through identifying people local to you. The National Medical Association is another organization that can be quite helpful in trying to identify providers that are local to you. As we wrap up the evening, I'd love to hear more from first Brother Ctrell. Can you share final recommendations that you would have that you want to give to the brothers that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one is, again, understanding your why. I think that's the biggest thing, right? So what's going to motivate you? I think really honing in, one of the big factors that I why from earlier that I should have stated is what we're dealing with right now during COVID, okay? And what COVID and how it impacts you, the respiratory system. And so the number one thing for us, I believe, that should motivate each of us to really hone in is COVID, right? And how we can impact ourselves with our nutrition, with our exercise, to be the best versions of ourselves during this type of season. Most of the time, when you think about this COVID thing, is a lot of times there's some underlying issues that can cause more of a headache as far as COVID is concerned. But even in my network and in my community of friends that have dealt with COVID, that are partners of mine with exercise, have said it's been a little bit easier to kind of deal with and kind of get through just simply because they were in a good bill of health, right? Being proactive. So I think the why is number one. That's the here and now to keep you motivated and to keep you going, okay? And then the second piece is to not be so hard on yourself, but be okay with the process, understanding that health and nutrition and exercise is a lifestyle, that we're going to do this for the rest of our lives. So don't be so hard on yourself. Enjoy it. Enjoy the road. And then finally, the small steps. Again, taking baby steps. Again, you might drink 2 more glasses of juice tonight because, and now that we've talked here and then we've had our talk, scale that down to just do one thing of juice, or say I'm not drinking juice at all anymore, or I normally eat after 10 o'clock because of my schedule is so busy. Starting tomorrow, what I'm going to do is have a grilled chicken salad with a protein shake, because that protein shake will kind of help fill you up and sustain you through the evening so you don't get the cravings for the junk food before you go to bed, right? So again, understanding those things, having a game plan, beginning to track, but just start small with getting your mind right and getting your mind around the concept of nutrition and health and making it a priority and not allowing any excuses to get in the way to deter you from it, because I understand, we understand, and you understand your why and the importance of our health and how it impacts what we do every day.
Outstanding. Brother Tillman, from you, any final recommendations and thoughts?
Yeah, sure. And I'd like to talk about my why briefly. I'm now 55 years old, and it came real fast. When we talk about college days swiftly pass, man, wait till your 30s and your 40s hit. They're going by even faster. My mother had a stroke at 50 years old. And my dad was diagnosed and beat prostate cancer at 74 years old. So I'm one of those living proof of both are still alive, thank God. But I'm living proof that I have to be on constant watch with my health, because what happened to them can happen to me. And so I had made that decision a long time ago that working out was not a goal for the moment. It became a lifestyle change. I think Brother Ctrell had hit pretty much all of the important parts. You start small. You just make one small change. For me, it was to lay off the fast food, lay off the McDonald's and the Burger King, to the point that I have gone as long as 9 months, without touching it. Now I'll hit it here and there, but it's not usually my go-to if I'm like really hungry or really stressed. I'll find that alternative that will sustain me, taste good, and I can keep going without feeling bad and blah at the end. When it comes to exercise, I'm not saying that folks got to get up at 4 and 5 in the morning. It's just because, it's easier before the day gets started than doing it after the day gets started. And if it's after the day, I'm either hitting the bike or I'm doing something that will allow me to burn some calories, get it out the way, and then I'm done. One thing I will add is don't forget about your mental health. We've spent a lot of time, rightfully so, talking about the physical side of all of this exercise, but don't forget the mental side and the mental benefits of that. I can tell you that once I'm done biking, I feel great. When I'm done exercising, I not only feel great physically, I actually feel great mentally, that I can go climb another wall somewhere. That's just how great I usually feel. And for many of you, I ride a motorcycle, so that takes care of my mental wind therapy right there. It just allows me to think. So don't forget to support your mental health as well, because a lot of the triggers and the issues that we have sometimes is tied to what's going on in our brain, inside of our head, and we got to take care of that as well, because sometimes the body won't go if the mind doesn't let you. So that's very important. And I will also say to my brothers, there is no shortage of examples that are out there, positive examples that are out there on social media. I mentioned the John Gores of the world. I've mentioned the Calvin Wallaces of the world. There's a brother by the name of Jermaine Jenkins. He goes by JFit. There are a lot of brothers who have lost 100 pounds or more because they made a lifestyle change. And I can tell you, if you're on Facebook, you can go to the Alpha Phi Alpha Cycling Worldwide group or the Alpha Phi Alpha Fitness Forum. And I know that there are many groups out there, but those are the two that I belong to. And there are a lot of brothers that are providing great inspiration. If you follow me, you follow them, because they help me. I talk to them, I DM them, I say, man, what about this? I try to find new ways of keeping this body moving, because you got to have variety. That's something we didn't talk about either. Yes, it's important to eat right. Yes, it's important to exercise, but you also got to have that variety. Otherwise, you will feel stale and you'll feel like, you're not moving. And just because the weight on the scale doesn't move, doesn't mean that notch on the belt won't move. And if you're feeling great and looking great, it gives you more confidence. And I can tell you that's what's been happening to me since I've been out of office. And I appreciate everyone that follows me or is even inspired by me to see a past general president getting out there cranking 60 miles on a bicycle. And many of you inspire me. So we're all in this together. We have Brothers Keeper for a reason. And if you see that brother that's struggling, be there for him. And sometimes just be that wingman so that he can get going, and you'll find out that we're all in this together. And I appreciate being in it with all of you out there who are viewing this webinar today. So those are my recommendations. We're in this together. Be together, and we know what we're going to do, because we got to be there for our communities and we got to be there for our families. That's why we're doing this, and that's why we have a Surgeon General. That's why we have these webinars.
Thank you so much, brothers. I'd like to just remind everyone, get your cholesterol levels checked so you can understand your risk. Make the adjustments, not for today, but for a lifetime, to your nutrition, to your lifestyle. Find an accountability partner that will help you. And if you need help from a professional, get that. And there are lots of ways to learn more. The American Heart Association is a great place to start with that. But as mentioned, so our social media and our brethren are actually some of the best resources that you can have. I'd like to thank first the current brother, General President Lonzer, for allowing us to bring this forum to you. I'd like to thank the current and inaugural brother, Surgeon General Jeffrey Sterling, for allowing me to come and speak with you this evening. We could not have done this at all without Brother Tillman, without Brother Ctrell. We thank you incredibly for your knowledge, your time, your wisdom, your encouragement. We also couldn't do this without each and every one of you in the audience. We're here for you. We're doing this for you. Please continue to give us feedback. Next week, we'll be here, same time. We'll be talking, because of the feedback we received, further on prostate cancer. We talked before on prostate cancer screening. We're going to talk a little bit about prostate cancer treatment. That'll be next Thursday, September 30th. And same time, same channels. We'd like to thank each and every one of you tonight.